from the, let's check the notes, 8-seeded Orlando Magic over the top-seeded Detroit Pistons. And I think one of the biggest storylines of this game is you got Cade Cunningham, who's giving you a playoff career-high 39 points, but Orlando still running away with this one. How concerning is it, if you're Detroit, that this can be just a one-man offense and you're relying so much on Cade Cunningham?
Yeah, this has been the knock against the Pistons all season long, Kiana, that they are over-reliant on Cade Cunningham. Now, when he went out with that collapsed lung, the Pistons still were chugging along and won what? They won 9-3 without him, and it looked like, okay, they could maybe withstand this. But tonight was a great example of all the concerns that you would have with the Pistons, where Cade Cunningham goes for 39 points. Only one other player on the Pistons scored in double figures. That was Tobias Harris, who scored 17, and it wasn't a very efficient shooting night from Tobias Harris. Everybody else in single digits, and the bench was basically useless. Dennis Jenkins, who's had a really good season, he was the high man off the bench with 6 points. You contrast that with the Magic, who had all 5 of their starters in double figures, and Jalen Suggs, a guy who fouled out, he was everywhere tonight. He was awesome. Franz Wagner, he hasn't looked like himself until tonight when he threw down a dunk, had 19-5. He started to look good. Paolo Banchero, I've killed him, crushed him all season long.
The series, as you see
He's had 2
here.
good
What
games
do you
in a
expect,
row.
though?
And then I think the concerning thing, especially if you're the Pistons, you lose this game at home. That's 11 straight home playoff losses in Detroit on a night when Desmond Bane had an awful, brutal shooting night, and the Magic still won this one comfortably. That would give me a little pause.
Yeah, Desmond Bane going 7 of 20 from the field, 1 of 8 from three-point land. But, John, I want to get your take on this one, and it's not that I'm trying to give any type of excuse, but I'm just trying to make sense of what we just saw. I want to get your thoughts on, the whole ideology of the rest versus rust. You consider that the Magic came in playing 2 play-in games. They surprised many also including you and I, and we talked about this, and they got that win in the play-in against the Hornets, and now riding a bit of that momentum maybe into game 1 to steal one on the road against the best record in the East?
Yeah, I mean, you and I were talking about this right before we came on air. It's kind of wild to watch the Orlando Magic, this version of them, which is the version that we all thought that we would get all season long, but we didn't get until the play-in against the Hornets when it was last chance saloon, win or go home. And I guess you can't rush these things, right? Like, they waited till the very last play-in game to actually try this season. But this is the version of the Magic that people wanted to see, right? Where Paolo Banchero, who's been super uneven all season long, he's had 2 really good games in a row. I don't like the fit between Banchero and Wagner overall, but they looked really good in this game. And Jalen Suggs is a little bit of do everything. And oh man, what would they look like if Bane had a good night? And you contrast that with the Pistons. These 2 teams are very similar, right? Like, the Pistons do all the things that the Magic do well, ostensibly better, except for in this game. The Pistons were number 1 in the NBA this season in points in the paint. Well, who won the points in the paint battle? The Magic, considerably. And then their half-court defense, the Magic's, was excellent, not only in that Hornets game, but tonight against the Pistons. And I think one of the guys, if you're the Pistons, that you need to call out here is Jalen Duren. He was next to invisible tonight. He goes for 8 points and 7 rebounds, just 3 of 4. He only took 4 shots. I mean, this is a guy who could potentially make all NBA and is a finalist for most improved player. Well, not tonight he wasn't. And Cade Cunningham really needs his 1A player, and he didn't get him tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's very interesting because you and I, we've talked a little bit about this just coming into the postseason. We were talking and previewing this Hornets and this Magic matchup, and we are kind of under this assumption that this is a Magic team that even if they didn't even make the postseason, this would be a unit that's kind of clearing the house a little bit, maybe getting rid of Jamal Mosley, maybe some players and what could happen there. But let's just say, hypothetically, we talked about this not too long ago, let's say that they could win some games, rattle off maybe a couple more upsets. Does that change the way we're looking at what the Magic might be doing this offseason?
Maybe. I mean, it would have to be more than just a couple games, right? Because I had the Pistons winning this series in 5. Maybe that doesn't come to fruition here, but I do still think that the Pistons are the better team because, as we mentioned, there's so much overlap. If you were doing a Venn diagram between the Pistons and the Magic, there'd be a big part in that middle there because they both like to score in the paint. They both have big bodies. They both play really good defense. I still think that Cade Cunningham is the better player on either team. But in this hypothetical situation that we're talking about here, what happens if the Magic win more than just a couple? What happens if they launch an upset and get out of the first round? Then all of a sudden, is Jamal Mosley sticking around? Everybody, including me, thinks that he's probably a goner and they're going to replace the head coach. I thought, if they're a first round exit, they won't lose in 5 games to the Pistons or 6 games to the Pistons, then maybe they're thinking about unplugging Paolo Banchero. Maybe you put him in a package, dangle him, see if the Milwaukee Bucks bite. Maybe you could get Giannis. All of that maybe changes if they launch an upset. Now, I don't want to overreact. It's just one game. We'll see what happens with the Pistons in game 2 and whether or not they can look more like themselves. They've been the #1 seed. I keep defending them, Kiana. I would like them to reward me for that positivity with the Detroit Pistons. They're the #1 seed for a reason. They should look like it maybe in the next game.
Maybe they'll look like it if they start maybe spreading that ball around, more starters, even getting in double figures, not just relying on 2, especially Cade Cunningham. But hey, going back to the Magic, I know it's just one game, but we got to be honest, winning cures a lot. I'm just saying, John, we'll see how everything shakes out. As always, we appreciate you bringing the best. Thank you so much. Well, Magic bringing their best in game 1. And take a look at their game 1s as an 8 seed all time. Well, yeah, I mean, they've had 3 wins now as an 8 seed. Their lone loss being in 2007 against the Pistons. This one, I mean, they lost the series nonetheless. But hey, like I said, anything can happen.
And the Sixers meeting tonight in Philly with a spot in the playoffs on the line. Both teams entering the season expecting to finish higher in the Eastern Conference standings, but obviously it's been a challenging season in Orlando, one just filled with injuries there in Philly, and the winner gets the Celtics in round 1. The loser will host those Hornets on Friday for the final spot, and we're joined now by NBA reporter Tim Bontemps live from Philly. He's got the whole East Coast covered for the next few days. Joel Embiid, we know he had surgery for appendicitis. So what's the status there in terms of his potential return?
Well, Hannah, as you mentioned, Joel Embiid has been out for a week now after having that emergency appendectomy in Houston last week. Stunning news coming out before the Sixers played the Rockets last Thursday. And really, the Sixers right now are just trying to survive as long as they can to wait to get Joel back out on the court. Now, obviously, you can't just gut your way through having abdominal surgery, right? So it's a matter of seeing how Joel feels as he recovers from this surgery, trying to get him back out on the court at some point, and then see what a timeline for his return is going to be, which so far has not been established. And so for a Philadelphia 76ers team, if they can win this game tonight at home, Hannah, they get 3 full days off before they have to potentially play the Boston Celtics, as you mentioned, in round 1 beginning on Sunday afternoon up in Boston. If they lose this game, they have to play the Hornets, as you mentioned, on Friday. And while that game will be here in Philadelphia, if they win that game, they immediately have to turn around and play 48 hours later against a big physical Detroit Pistons team on Sunday night. So certainly on a lot of levels, huge for Philadelphia to try to get this game. We saw Orlando obviously have a very disappointing loss on Sunday against the Celtics. Both these teams coming in here reeling a little bit, and we'll see which one of them can come out with a win. And as you said, get a trip to Boston as a result on Sunday.
Yeah, which will be interesting. An afternoon game, and then the next morning followed by the Boston Marathon. So a good couple of days there in Boston. Enjoy the game tonight in Philly, Tim. Thanks.